You're listening to Finn Voices on Healthcare Now Radio, where we highlight and amplify the voices at the forefront of health innovation that improves people's lives. Join us for an inside look at the changemakers driving conversation and answering the most important questions in healthcare today. Thanks for joining us.
Hello, everyone, and thank you for tuning in. I'm your host, Beth Friedman, Senior Partner at Finn. I'm based in Atlanta, Georgia, and my guest today is Richard Ashworth. Richard brings over 30 years experience in healthcare. He's been president and CEO of Tivity Health since June of 20, and he actually led the company's transformation from public to private in 22. Richard has spent his entire career improving the health and well-being of consumers with a specific focus on our nation's senior community, of which I am one of those. So I'm really looking forward to talking to you today, Richard. You're the perfect person really to speak with us about the intersection of innovation and healthy aging. So Richard, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Beth. Really appreciate being here.
Absolutely. Glad to have you. Before we jump into sort of all the innovation that we're going to talk about as it relates to us seniors, let's talk about what I call the elephant in the room. Do seniors even use technology? There tends to be an idea out there that seniors are tech adverse, that they're unwilling or maybe even unable to engage with technology, especially when it comes to healthcare. So as president of Tivity Health, where do you see seniors today and technology adoption?
Well, I think it's a misnomer that seniors don't use technology. I just don't agree with the sentiment kind of whatsoever. I mean, they're not tech adverse. Actually, digital offerings now aren't really novel to them anymore. They're kind of used to it. In fact, over 60% of seniors own a smartphone. You know, at Tivity Health, we're a pretty data-driven organization. We spend a lot of time talking to seniors, interviewing them, and trying to understand, what activities they're doing. We're surveying them all the time. We're doing that through their physical activities, obviously from Silver Sneakers being a physical fitness program, but mentally, socially, every way that we can. And what we find is that the majority of them are using technology much differently than they did pre-pandemic. So there was definitely an acceleration there. In fact, what we see with our members is over 40% of them have used telehealth for a medical visit in the last 2 years. So that's an amazing stat if you think about, seniors don't use technology. In fact, over half of our members actually use technology to work out. So they're either doing that, through a streaming service, or they're just watching an on-demand video, whatever it may be. So I think it's interesting when people talk about, the senior population and maybe they're a little less averse for technology. I think that's actually all wrong now. And we have a massive opportunity with 10,000 people aging into Medicare every day. If you're not thinking about how to maximize, services and products through technology to this population, you're missing out.
10,000 a day are joining Medicare?
Every day, 10,000 people in the country turn 65, yeah.
Wow, that's crazy. That's crazy. Well, that's actually really good news. I'm glad to hear that we've kind of crossed that, or gotten rid of that old mindset, right? As a matter of fact, it's funny, my 83-year-old mother is staying with me this month, and she loves her telehealth visits, and she loves her iPad. So, I get it, right? Now I just got to get her working out on the iPad. She hasn't done that yet, but that's really good news. I'm glad to hear that. So, okay, so let's take that off the table. Let's take the technology hurdle, we'll remove that piece. Let's talk then specifically about innovation. So I'm really curious to hear, what are some of the ways that Tivity Health is bringing innovation into these healthy aging solutions?
Well, great point you made with your mother, because I think I've got an opportunity for her, because one of our innovations was streaming Silver Sneakers Live. We have hundreds of classes every day available that she can jump in on. And it's an amazing opportunity. It's very social. It's a lot of fun, but yet you're also getting that physical activity and that importance that we want for kind of flexibility and strength training and those things. Now, what's funny about this is we had a roadmap well before I got to Tivity that had some virtual offerings on it. But like a lot of industries, it was like on your roadmap, you thought you might do it at some point in the future, but it never really got fully prioritized. Either A, you thought maybe seniors aren't going to adopt this too well, or B, you found other places to put money. I think the pandemic really helped accelerate digital investment. Sure, we see all kinds of stats about that. We started offering on Facebook where seniors were already kind of frequently going to, especially during the pandemic. We use that as a bridge to kind of pull them into this Silver Sneakers Live web-based platform that allows them to engage. And so that gave us a lot of data and information and gave them a lot of new experiences. So in my view for innovation is that the future is hybrid. It's not all digital and it's not all physical. It's the way we live our lives, all of us. Whether you're 65 years old or 25 years old, you live in a real world, an analog world, but yet you have digital tools all the time. And I think using technology to give you that personalization so that people can have unique and very value-driving experiences is really important for innovation, but specifically for seniors. They have the same expectations. So you expect a seamless experience between virtual and in person. I used to work for Walgreens for many years. And so you want to go on the app and see something. And then when you go in store, you wanted them to know that you were just there and what you had ordered was placed and it should be ready and things like that. And I think that's a very standard way, even in the senior community, that their expectations are. I think another thing with innovation is you gotta have more collaboration, a mindset of collaboration. You can't just think you're going to go kind of build something on your own. The world is just too connected now. A, you're probably recreating something that somebody's already built, but B, you're kind of duplicating experiences, and it becomes that you don't get that seamless, connectivity that I was talking about. So, like as an example for this, we just launched a partnership with Apple Fitness Plus. So we launched that in collaboration with some of our insurance plans who really like that Apple product and that Apple brand, and they wanted to have their members have access at no cost to Apple Fitness Plus through the Silver Sneakers platform. So all of our Aetna population, for example, has access to this. This is a one-of-a-kind partnership, but this is about collaboration. This isn't about us going to build something, and it's not just about Apple only doing something. This is a great example of a big tech, fantastic company like Apple coming together with Silver Sneakers, great brand and mission and purpose, and bringing a new offering in the marketplace for members to experience. And so the other thing about this with innovation, I think in today's world, is you gotta make it available for everyone. It can't be a one size fits all and expect people to kind of like use your innovation. So that interoperability I talked about, I think is really important, but also making sure that you have experiences and services that are catered toward a vast part of your membership versus only a certain subset. There's an important part in this country around rural versus urban, around the differences in socioeconomic classes and their access to care or access to fitness capabilities. And so we're pretty passionate about that. Apple is a great example where they have, a wide number of, classes and workouts for all different stages and ages, which I think is great. And the last thing I would just say is that, trying to make sure that you can do this at scale so that you're not just doing it for a subset of members. I see all kinds of press releases around innovation, and it's, a pilot of a pilot in a small area. That's okay. I mean, maybe for learning and so forth, probably wouldn't do a press release for that personally, but I think you want to make sure you get that innovation out to the masses.
You shared a lot right there, and I think some really good tips for innovation. A couple things I heard. Make it hybrid. And I would totally agree with you. Like, I have so many tech experiences in my own personal life where I love being able to use the technology, but sometimes it doesn't work, or it's too slow, or I can't get the response I need. I love the opportunity also to be able to pick up the phone, right, and talk to a human. I think that hybrid is really important. The collaboration, I heard about that when I was at Health in November, from an investor report that talked about the importance of startups or digital health technology companies collaborating with the incumbents, right? Collaborating with the other systems in healthcare and the other things that are already in place that we all know and love. So that's important. Really interested also as it comes to the payers. Let's talk about that. You mentioned Aetna. Certainly, and the 10,000 people joining Medicare every day and all the Medicare Advantage plans, everybody touches a payer at one point in time as a consumer. I know that payers, to your point, they've got to address every single segment of the population, right? And rural and urban. So they've got a lot of requirements. So how else or what other benefits do you see this innovation or bringing this fitness directly to those members? What other innovations do you see payers really taking advantage of as it relates to what you guys are doing at Tivity?
Yeah, so I'll start with kind of what I think the major kind of benefit is. And most of our plans are Medicare Advantage plans. And so really that's just offering Medicare with other supplemental services that get added on without an increased cost. And it's the fastest growing part of Medicare. It continues to grow. I believe that the main reason that it grows is I'm an old retailer, so there's a value equation that is working for consumers, right? They're seeing, okay, here's my deductible, here's my premium, and here's all the stuff I get. Ooh, I like that. That's what I want. And part of the value equation that a lot of seniors say is, hey, they have a fitness benefit, and I really like that. I love silver sneakers, and I want to have a plan that has silver sneakers in it. But why is that, right? I mean, to your point, Aetna is a great partner, right? They are focusing on the sickest of the sick. They've got, hospitals, they've got specialty meds, they've got surgeries, they've got lots of things that they're dealing with. And on the supplemental benefit side, why does our innovation with like Apple Fitness Plus really matter to them? And the reason is that Aetna has clocked that exercise is essentially preventative medicine. It is a way to reduce costs. It is a way to reduce hospital stays. I mean, this is crazy, but if you're a Silver Sneakers member versus a non-Silver Sneakers member, so the same age, same kind of number of conditions, maybe same weight, same kind of general construct, a Silver Sneakers member goes to the hospital 7.3 times less for post-acute care.
Wow.
Yeah. Because
that's amazing.
Yeah. And it stands a little intuitive in one way, right? Which is they're stronger, they're a little healthier, they're engaging in healthier activities. But if you look at the money, our participants spend more money on pharmacy and they go to their primary care doctor more often, but they have less surgeries and they have less like slip and falls. They have less expensive things. When you put the whole thing together, an average Silver Sneakers member costs $4,400 a year versus $5,300 for a non-participant. So health plans who are in charge of the financials, right, of how it is to take care of patients and members, they really care about that. So I think that's a big part around health plans thinking about supplemental benefits. That's why they have vision and dental and hearing. Really important to maintaining social status, right? If I can't hear, I probably don't want to go to plays or hang out with my friends. I probably just want to maybe isolate a little bit. If I can't see, it's quite challenging, right? I can't quite do the same things as my friends do. And so those supplemental benefits are not just there for bells and whistles, they're there for healthcare. And that's probably one of the biggest drivers of what health plans are seeing on the supplemental benefit side. And that's what you're seeing new opportunities like personal care, just helping people in daily living. Nutrition is a big one that's coming in. A lot of people don't have access to foods or high quality foods or healthy foods, and they're making poor choices. So I think our health plans are really thinking about the totality of the member.
That's such a breath of fresh air. I think I talked to you when we were preparing for today's interview was that, I used to teach aerobics way back in the day. I worked for a hospital, and at night I would go teach aerobics. And, I am such a fan of fitness and movement. I think movement is medicine. And to your point, no matter what age you are, and especially as you age, it becomes even more important. I can only imagine that some of those cost savings you were talking about, the per member cost savings, that just has to do probably a lot with just that they're more mobile, they're more flexible, the fewer falls. I really can see all of that. So it's really important. And I'm glad that the payers are really paying attention and getting involved with your efforts.
They are, and they care about it too, Beth. I mean, I think they want more members, and they want those members to stay longer. There's a business model there too. It wouldn't be fair not to mention it, but they really do care about the health of their members, and they know that these supplemental benefits are attractive to them, in wanting to be able to experience them and to use them. But you said something earlier that I think is really important. Is I can't really get my mom to work out that often, though, right? I hear that a lot. And that's true no matter your age, by the way. So, I'm a big gym user. I go to a lot of our gym partners, and I don't see the same people there all the time. People come and go in fitness routines. It's very hard to maintain that routine and stay motivated. And that's where Silver Sneakers is like uniquely positioned, because we're like right next to you. We're just a friend trying to help you engage in healthy activity. Like, we don't judge you. We get it. It was the holidays. Everybody gained a little bit, got you, but it's back to January. Let's get back to it. And I think, we want to help people kind of age, in a healthier way than the way it would naturally be for them if they don't engage in healthy activity.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's funny, I didn't even think about this when we were preparing, Richard, but it's January. That's when everybody jumps into fitness, right? So, it's perfect timing for us to have this conversation. So I really am appreciating everything I'm learning as a consumer and everything I'm going to go upstairs and tell my mom about when we get off the radio show today. So let's just take a quick break here. It's you're listening to Finn Voices on Healthcare Now Radio. And my guest is Richard Ashworth, President and CEO of Tivity Health. So before we wrap up, I want to zoom in and really discuss with you this topic that we've kind of been dancing around, which is healthy aging. I'd like you to define that for our audience. And then I want to know, kind of what Tivity Health is doing to advance these issues besides the fitness stuff we've talked to. Sort of what other innovations do you see on the horizon for our nation's seniors?
Yeah, to me, healthy aging is a 360 view of our healthcare, right? So Tivity Health through the Silver Sneakers platform has been very focused on physical fitness for 30 years. But I attend Silver Sneakers classes. And yes, there is physical activity there. If you do there's a Zumba class that's insane. There's a workout. There's a HIIT, type one. There's a yoga, which I can't personally do very well. But let me tell you what's actually happening in these classes is it is social connection. That's what it really is. Fitness is fun and it's by inherently a social thing to do. And so the question really in my mind is, yeah, fitness and strength and flexibility is important, but the mind and the heart are so important too. And the pandemic has really exacerbated the kind of loneliness, pandemic really that occurred in the country among many of our seniors, and it's rapidly changing for them. So that shift for us to kind of redefine what wellness really means is it's definitely more than exercise. So fitness to seniors in 2023 and beyond is going to be that physical, that mental, that emotional, even that spiritual kind of wellness and focus. So, look, as we get older, it becomes more and more important. Remember when you were 20 and you could eat whatever you wanted and you looked the same the next day? Well, that doesn't happen anymore when you're in your 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, right? And so I can
attest to that and agree with that.
I'm on my way too. So I get it. But what we've been doing now is we've been to this point on healthy aging is we've been adding around that physical core other types of experiences. So we did a partnership with a company called Get Set Up. What an amazing opportunity. This is thousands and thousands of different mental enrichment opportunities. So it's basically a learning platform by seniors for seniors. So you have a retired Italian chef who can tell you how to make your own pasta. You can have a retired, this is a big one actually, electrician who can talk to you about electricity 101 in the home. So think about a husband and wife combo, been married for 60 years. One of them passes away and the other one that's left was not the one that did the home repairs. But we don't have hundreds of thousands of dollars of discretionary money to have electricians at the house all the time. So maybe I need to fix my own outlet or change my own light bulb or open my own pickle jar. There are many things that occur, and they teach you trips on how to do things around the house. We did a partnership with a company called Stitch. Stitch is basically for 55 plus, and it basically says other people like me. So I love Alabama football, so I can get on there and I can find a group of people who meet and talk about Alabama football. Now that might sound silly in one way, but it's actually pretty amazing what happens in another. So I'll give you a quick example on this. So games are on Saturdays. So the group meets on Fridays to discuss the game that's coming up. So what am I doing then on, Wednesday and Thursday? I'm going to ESPN and I'm looking up who's going to play. I'm reading articles. I'm mentally stimulating myself. I'm getting on other venues of topics of people. Then I come prepared to have the discussion. What's everybody doing on Saturday? They're watching the game and then they get to talk about that game later. So you're creating this kind of connection and friendship, which is so important. In fact, Juliet Holmstedt has this quote, a study that she did. Just was at a meeting with her a couple of weeks ago, and we were talking about this, and it was saying the way to live the longest. So if you just want to live, forget quality even for a second, just think live the longest. What's the one thing that people that live the longest have that people that do not live as long do not have? And it is community, number of friends. That's it. So it's just so important for the human, nature to have those kinds of relationships. So Stitch was a great example for us to try and bring community to people so that they can, have those kinds of experiences. And to me, that's what healthy aging is all about. It's about, friendships. It's about, yes, my clinical, side, if I have diabetes or if I have cholesterol and I have to take my medicine and go to my doctor appointments, but it's also about being connected with other people and engaging in healthier activity, eating right, moving right, and engaging with other people correctly.
And the timing is so perfect for this because, COVID pushed all of our seniors to use technology and to use mobile, right? Specifically. We also, seniors also will have trouble driving or getting out. A lot of them don't even drive anymore. So the combination of using the tech more but still needing that community. And what these technologies are doing is bringing that community into the home. I love that. I just think that's fabulous. And I'll concur with you on that community. That's why I knew the answer so fast. I just, I think I either heard or read maybe an NPR segment on, they interviewed the top cities in the world that had the most longevity. And they had 5 things that those communities do right. And one of them was community action, not action necessarily, but community involvement. So, I get it. And it makes a lot of sense. It's pretty exciting. I'm actually going to check out Get Set Up and Stitch that you mentioned. Those both sound really interesting.
Yeah, great companies.
Yeah, fabulous. So innovation really just to keep us social is what I hear you saying. And these are apps that sound like they're beyond, Twitter and Facebook and those kind of things. These are really for specific communities and very sort of I don't want to say narrow in what they do, but narrow in bringing people together with those similar interests.
Completely agree.
Very cool. Very cool. And I also appreciate that you brought in those financial savings and the things that the payers are seeing in their per member, because one of the things I think so I've been in IT and healthcare for 30 years. I've seen solutions come and I've seen solutions go, right? And I think one of the secrets, especially now, because our industry is so watching the costs, our healthcare costs are going up, inflation's going up. We've just got so many financial issues right now. I think that any time that you can wrap around into an innovation, some savings and have that proven. I mean, you've got some great stats and great numbers there. So that's pretty exciting.
Yeah, I think it's very easy to innovate with a good ROI. Honestly, you don't have to struggle that hard. Big companies, little companies, public companies, private companies. Depending on your timeline, I think if you're trying to innovate for a quarter, that's probably not going to work. All right, but if you're trying to innovate for a reasonable period of time, you can either find savings in a cost model, or you can find a value equation that would raise your N of number of people using to a higher number, so more revenue. Very easy to put a return on investment against innovation and wellness. It really is, and actually, I think it's just as easy to put an ROI against innovation for seniors. My 2 pieces of advice I always give people when they try and innovate for the senior community is don't act like there's some special group of people that need to be innovated with differently than everybody else. The whole "I've fallen and I can't get up" button that I hang around my neck. Nobody wants that stupid button around their neck. I want to just be able to tap my Apple Watch and say I've fallen like everybody else would do if they fell, right? And if they were in a car.
Or tell Alexa, right?
Yeah, exactly. No, but I mean, that's another perfect example where use modern, tools and the way that people are living their lives today. Remember, 20 years ago, the 75-year-old is today's 50-year-old. I mean, we are much farther along in technical understanding. A lot of people going into the workforce right now have been using computers for 15 years in their job. So it's not like, these things are foreign to them. So that's my one. And the second one for wellness is that, the payoff for wellness sometimes does take time, because what you're trying to do is you're trying to adjust behavior. So I can launch when I used to work at Walgreens, I could launch a product and people would buy it and I would see the money come in the register the next day. For wellness, I'm trying to get people to go to a gym. I'm trying to get people to eat better over time. Okay, well, you don't see those results in a day. If we did, we'd all go to the gym once and be very happy with the way we
exactly.
Are. But that's not. No, that's my 2 pieces of advice for folks: is don't treat it like it's some special group that doesn't, that needs something very, very different, because many times that's not the case. And second is take a reasonable timeline and you can get the return.
So, Richard, let's conclude with just a real quick thought on innovation. I've heard that it's really important to innovate from the patient back, to meet them where they are, or the member back in a payer perspective. Do you agree with that?
Oh, absolutely. I find a lot of times that a lot of innovation that comes to the marketplace, it's almost like you could see it that it was done in the boardroom versus done in the field, right? At the patient's hospital bed or in the pharmacy or at the fitness location or whatever, kind of offering you provide for members and patients. If you put yourself right next to where the care is being delivered, the products being consumed, or the experience is being experienced, and you work your way back, you can find a way to make money at it, right? But the most important thing is to find something that patients and customers actually need or want to use. So I completely agree with that sentiment.
You know what, Richard, I've loved having you on the show. I so can relate to everything we talked about today. And, just appreciate those last two takeaways and pieces of advice. They're so relevant. We're all aging. And now I know a few ways to maybe do it better. So I thank you both professionally and personally. Thanks for being on the show.
Thank you. Yeah, I appreciate that. Beth, not your first rodeo. Appreciate it.
Thank you to our audience for listening today. The easiest way to reach Richard and Tivity Health is on LinkedIn. And you can learn more about the company at their website, tivityhealth.com. And be sure to follow me on Twitter at HealthITPR and on LinkedIn as well. Again, this is Beth Friedman, Senior Partner at Finn Partners, and you're listening to Finn Voices on Healthcare Now Radio.
Finn Voices is brought to you by Finn Partners, a global marketing and communications agency working across industries and services. Whether inside our walls or on the front lines of health transformation, we stand together to create meaningful and measurable impact on the world around us. Learn more at finnpartners.com and follow us on Twitter at Finn Partners.